But I do think if it's on your heart to desire a lifetime partner, you can have that. Girl, you can have it, okay? Hey, I'm Dr. Shareece. If you're new here, I help Black men and women heal from trauma and toxic relationships. If you're not new here, I'm back. You're welcome, okay? Today, I wanted to have a conversation because I'm getting back into the relationship topics of it all. I was watching Relationship Restored podcast. Amanda Seales was on, and she just had some really good points that she was making. I think she represents sort of the modern woman. And I'm not sure we're really having the kind of conversations that we need to have to move forward in partnership with heterosexual, successful women and heterosexual Black men. So I wanted to touch on the why you're single part, because in the podcast, Amanda Seales, said, like, I know people are going to say, this is why I'm single, this is why I'm single. She was referring to not wanting to put up with BS because she had a partner that was evolving with her and then kind of stopped. And I've done a lot of research, I've done a lot of relationship research. I'm not married, right? But as a person who's preparing for marriage, there's a lot of the conversations that happen that I think are very, very helpful in understanding what leads to the longevity of a relationship, especially with two flawed human beings. Now, some people are further along in the journey and have like really healthy relationships, and in their 20-year marriage only have like 1 or 2 hiccups. But for most of us, okay, as a person, I tell you all, my life challenge is romantic relationship, right? I don't really have problems with much other else. Everything else really goes streamlined in my life. My biggest challenge has been like, how do I keep a healthy, happy relationship going, right? How do I stay in it, not run away? How do I make it not toxic? All of that stuff, right? Relationships has been my thing. And so I just think there are some people like Amanda Seales who relationships end up being their thing. And so there's a whole host of reasons why people are single. But the point that she noted about not really wanting to stick it out through the low parts, I think is something to consider. If you are in a relationship and you're thinking about ending it, or, your relationships end at certain points in time, right? Whether it's 3 months or 7 months or 2 years, and then you're like done. I would like you to reflect on the point that relationships have their ups and downs. And part of the reason why people are in 20-year relationships, 30-year marriages is because they stuck through the difficult times. And that often means that two people are evolving at different rates. And so you might feel like your partner is stuck. How do you help support them through that? Because you were in love with them when they were there. You appreciated them, you valued them when they were there. You've just changed a bit. There's a whole process of relearning one another, respecting one another's differences and the changes that I think some people, especially when they get to dictate so much of the other areas of their life, are not really interested in the waiting period, the patience of holding space for your partner as they're not changing as fast as you would like. A thing to consider. Amanda Seales also mentioned smart woman, dumb girl, which I thought was ingenious. She's so bright. And this is not a bash Amanda Seales video. I would never, first of all, do that to another woman. But also, she's from the Caribbean, so she has a special place in my heart. Her family's from the Caribbean. So I appreciate, value anyone who like shows up authentically as themselves. I don't follow her on everything, but I think I follow her enough to say, what a beautiful growth pattern she's had. It's what I wish for everyone, honestly, that you would have life experiences that push you to another level until you, we never really arrive, but as you ascend to like your highest version of yourself. And I could see clearly that her relationship pushed her in a beautiful way that helped her, just fine tune who she is. And so I love the way that she presents. I love the way that she talked about her relationship. And so when she mentioned smart woman, dumb girl, it is the concept of, people like me who in so many years in life, right? When I was in an abusive relationship, nobody knew and nobody would have guessed that I was, in community with a man who called me names. Like, come on. I was so smart. I am so smart. But there were so many things that I was good at, right? I was good at public speaking, presenting. I was really good at school. I was good at my job. People respected me, came to me for opinions. And so the fact that I was in an abusive relationship was, I was that dumb girl For real, for real. And so when Amanda Seales talks about it, I also want to note that there are some relationship skills that she never got because she didn't see them demonstrated. But I would also say you don't always have to see relationship skills demonstrated in your home to pick them up on the way. But when, you know, you're kind of focused on one way of being and pay attention to your romantic relationships later on in life, there are a lot of things that you miss if you're not paying attention. So I was thinking about doing another video about those specific ways of being a smart girl, right? So like the girly girl in the relationship. If you want to be a girl in a relationship with a hetero man, a black man in America, girl, or a manly man from the Caribbean, or, you know, the Africans, right? If you want a Nigerian, or somebody who is very focused on being the leader and in charge and making decisions and really having strong opinions, and you also have strong, like, how do you navigate that in a romantic relationship? I can't get into it now. I want to talk about the podcast, but there's a whole host of things that you do have to learn to do if you don't already know how to talk to a man. Like, some of these men will talk like they don't have egos. They all do. Okay. And you have to talk to them in a certain way. If you want to be in a hetero relationship with them where they are the breadwinner, or you are equal partners and you're coming together to respect one another and build together, like, there's just a certain way of talking to these men. That's all I can say. This also relates to the conversation about masculine women. I don't know if they really know what they're saying when they say that, right? Because I have a whole other video on divine masculinity, divine femininity, because we both have both inside of us, right? And so a woman who is a boss, who has to tell people what to do, who has to plan and organize and lead, of course, she's in her masculine when she's doing that. And so there's really nothing wrong with wanting to be a CEO or wanting to be in charge. There's nothing wrong with that. A man or a woman, they both are able to do it and both can do it, right? I think the problem lies in not knowing if you want to be in a hetero relationship with a man who leads. Right? There's no two CEOs. That doesn't exist. Like, there has to be someone who takes the lead. And that doesn't mean that the other person's opinion doesn't matter or isn't considered. It just means that the way that the opinions or the feedback is received is different than if you were the one in the driver's seat, right? There's not two people driving. It's more like a pilot, co-pilot situation, but one person is making the major decisions, but using the information from the other to create this shared vision. I think that's the only difference. But in 2024, where modern men have not necessarily caught up to the vast changes that modern women have, there are unspoken expectations that people have of one another. So in the past, we had very rigid gender roles, right? People knew what they were expected to do. Women knew what they were expected to do in the home. Men knew that they were expected to, you know, pay the bills and make sure that they supported their family. They were still unspoken expectations then, right? About like, how much time is my husband going to spend with the kids? Or how often will my wife have sex with me? Or what kind of, you know, fun will we have outside of work? Those were in existence then. Now, we just have all of the unknown. And all of the unknown means that nobody really knows what they're doing. Everybody is trying to figure it out. I do think it means more conversations need to be happening about what people's expectations are, especially as it relates to gender roles. If you want, because I'm speaking about what most women would like. Most women would like either an equal partner or someone who is leading them, or someone who is taking care of most of the bills, someone who has the mortgage or the rent covered so that you don't have to think about it. I think that's what most women would want. That's my circle anyway, right? You want to be able to either help with some of the minor bills, or you want to be able to have some input in where the direction of the family is going, because we're not in the 1970s. And so we want more influence over what our life looks like. And I think that's okay. It's part of why more conversations are needed. So the beautiful thing is that you get to create whatever you want your relationship to look like. You do that by asking yourself, what do you like? Like, what do you specifically like? You can look around and get a general sense of a relationship that you admire from the outside. You never, ever really know what's going on in anyone's relationship. But I do think there are pieces that you can look at from the outside and say, wouldn't it be nice if, my husband took us on vacation? Or it could be, wouldn't it be nice if I was able to plan vacations for our family? You get to decide what you want. And so because there's no set in stone, nobody knows what anybody is doing, right? Very few people are living traditional gender roles right now because most women work. And even if they don't work full-time, they work part-time. Even if they don't work part-time, they have much more influence over how the money is spent and where things go than they did in the past, because we can have bank accounts, we can invest, we can buy homes with or without husbands. Like, there's so much that women can do now that they weren't able to do before. So having those really interesting, intricate, difficult, maybe sometimes conversations about what do you want your relationship to look like if you're in a relationship? And if you're not, what do you want, right? What's the ideal of a relationship that you think would fulfill you, make you excited, that you would feel happy and inspired to raise children in, that could grow up to be independent, functioning, happy Black children? And then the last point I'll talk about is what Amanda Seales had mentioned in her dating history, right? She's dated extensively, perhaps. I think she has a lot of dating experience, maybe not the best relationship experience, but this discussion about dating men who are not husband material. And I would argue that women often date men who are not husband material, not because they're trying to force them to be a husband, but because women haven't really considered, well, do I really want to be a wife? And if I really want to be a wife and you're seriously thinking I really want to be a wife, you would have a list of things, hopefully not a very long list, but a list of things that are required in your relationship that would lead to marriage. Because there's a specific way of dating towards marriage. It doesn't take 5 years. If you want to get married and be a wife, it does not take 5 years. Now, if y'all are like 17 and 5 years you were together and then you got married when you were 25 or something like that, that's different, right? But we're talking about us people who are in our 30s and 40s. It's not going to take 5 years to know that you want to be married. So then if you consider the way you've been dating, I've seen women show me pictures of guys and I'm like, this man is a player. He doesn't want to be anybody's only. Can't you see that? I think a lot of times what we have been sold as desirable is not necessarily what is good for long term. And so I do think part of it is about changing your palette. You change your palette by changing your self-esteem, right? Going after the people who want you also, and not just people who will look good on your arm or who make you feel good, right? We're looking for actually something that has a really strong foundation and a man of substance, right? He's high standards, good character is what you're really looking for. There are lots of relationship podcasts that are, specifically talking about dating. I want to say I like, but I'm not sure I really like this one podcast where I think it's Tora Sense, where she talks about dating and having a rotation. If you're dating for marriage, right, I would recommend her like for the first 3 months of what dating can look like for you. I do think if you don't know like what it's like to go on multiple dates in a month with different men, I really think you should know what that experience is like. I think you should also know what it's like to be pursued by more than one man. I'm not really saying like long-term date anyone, right? Past the month or the 3-month period, I think when you really like someone, you really want to go all in. You want to invest and spend a lot of time with that person. And if it's mutual, they will want to be doing that too. So it will be natural that you get rid of all the other people you were talking to, dating, to focus on this one if your goal is marriage. Like if your goal is casual dating, I'm not even sure why you're watching this video, right? But if a relationship, a strong long-term relationship is what you're looking for, I do think there's a certain way. I don't think Tora Sense is good past like the 3-month mark. I don't think. But I would strongly recommend Esther Perel for long-term relationships, like the ups and downs of a relationship, the natural ebb and flow of a relationship. How do you maintain a healthy and long-term relationship? Esther Perel has answers. Oh, she has answers. She has so many conversations. She has so many resources. Her book, Mating in Captivity, I love. I think her podcast is doing well. She has lots of clips on YouTube. There's so many resources on how to maintain a long, long-term relationship. And I would consider her to be a relationship expert, right? There's people who have relationship theory, relationship experience, and relationship mastery. She has relationship mastery. She's been with her person for decades, okay? So if you're interested in all that additional information, I would definitely suggest you pick out that. I'm rooting for Amanda Seales to find and maintain love. I'm not saying you have to be with anybody forever. I would never say that, because God has a plan for us all. But I do think if it's on your heart to desire a lifetime partner, you can have that. Girl, you can have it, okay? Let me know what you think in the comments. Please like this video if you enjoyed it. Share it with somebody that you think it may help or would enjoy the conversation. Subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. And thank you for watching.